In order to fill out this spreadsheet so that your recurring tasks can be uploaded, it's important to understand what the various fields mean. So we're going to start with templates. The template is going to be the default checklist for all of these recurring tasks that we're going to upload for you. You can create a template or use one of ours from the library. You'll find the templates in the Aero app right here under templates. What you're going to look at is the checklist templates. Now, if you're still on a free trial and you look at this screen and you see a whole bunch of green buttons saying subscribe now, that just means that you haven't put in a credit card yet. So if you go to the account settings and enter a credit card, it will unlock all of these templates for you, and you still won't be charged until the end of your free trial. All right, so there are two different categories of templates in here. You'll see the library templates, and there's another category called Aero. Aero templates are the ones that you've created, or they're ones that you have copied from a library template so that you can edit the steps. In a template, there are some important fields that you want to pay attention to before we upload your tasks. First of all, there's the estimated duration. This is a required field. This is about how long this task should take in general. It's not going to be specific from client to client right now. But you want to put that information in here. If you don't know, you can put a 0 in, or 30 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever you want. Days to due date is another important field that you would want to pay attention to. This is going to assign automatically a due date based on the start date. Now, the start date is the day that this task is going to show up on a user's dashboard every month or every week or every day or whatever it is that you schedule it. So the days to due date are going to then create a due date based on that start date. So for example, let's say we're going to enter bills on a weekly basis and we're going to enter them every Monday. If I want this to be done all the way by Wednesday, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 2 days. You have 2 days to do this enter bill task. The other thing that you need to pay attention to is a type. And this is the Aero type. What type of work is this? In this case, it is accounts payable in our account. Now, these types are things that you create for your own Aero account. When your account is first opened, all you're going to see in here is Aero onboarding. But you're going to create your Aero types, and that allows you just to organize your client work. It allows you to run reports by type of work. And if your Aero account is connected to a QBO account, those types are going to map to your QBO service items. Okay, and then the rest of these fields down here, you're going to leave blank because, again, this is just a generic checklist that is going to be used for multiple clients that we're going to upload. Other things you might want to pay attention to: priority, is it normal priority or elevated or critical? And then the billable or fixed fee. Do we normally charge by the hour for this? It's billable, or is it normally a fixed fee service, part of a fixed fee engagement? A question I get a lot is the published status. This is for the Aero advisor. If you're going to share this template with clients, if I choose public, it does not get published to the Aero library. That's a whole nother process. So you can say that it's a draft or that it's public or it's firm only, however you want to designate it there. So this is the templates fields that need to be filled out in order to do the uploading. The rest of this stuff is all done when you create a template: the subject, comments, steps. There's other videos on how to create a template, and I'm going to let you watch those so that we can get back to our uploading. One other thing you want to look at is this number on the end of the URL. So 299, what that is the template ID number, and you're going to need that for that spreadsheet. If we look at our upload spreadsheet, the first column here is template ID. So that's the ID number of the template that we want to have all of these client tasks uploaded for. This is the same as the subject. We ask for this information just so we can confirm that the ID number is correct. So the subject will be on your edit template screen right here in the subject box. The next field is assigned to. This is who on your team is going to do this work. The assigned to, we're just asking for the username, so Robert or Stacy or whoever. And if you have a checklist that has multiple steps that different people are going to be addressing, like maybe a tax return checklist, and you have one person who does the intake and they're going to upload the documents and make sure the organizer is filled out, and then somebody else does the prep, and then you've got a review step, and those are all done by different people. There's only one name here because a checklist can only be assigned to one person at a time. So what you want to do for assigned to field is put in the name of the person that the recurring task is going to start with. So in the case of that tax return template, again, it'll be the person who uploads the documents. Aero type, you put that on your template. That's on your template field, but again, we're asking for this just so we can check and make sure that we are getting this uploaded correctly. So this is going to be from your list of Aero types, bookkeeping or business return or 1040 or whatever the type is for this work. Billable or fixed fee, true or false. Unlike the template, you are going to maybe have different information for each customer. Here's the customer name. We ask you to please, please, please make sure that the customer name exactly matches the one listed in Aero. So if you look at Aero, you have your customers listed here. One easy way to make sure that the customer names exactly match what's in Aero is go to your reports, look at companies, and run this report, customer list report. You can click the customize link here and download it to a CSV and use that Excel file to get your customers uploaded. If you can't do that, we can deal with customers that aren't exactly matching, but it does take more time. So we would appreciate it if you can get the customer names exactly matching. Contact name, this is optional. Sometimes it's helpful when you're doing work to know who to contact if you have questions. So in the case of a tax return, which spouse is it? In the case of a bill pay task, do I talk to the office manager or do I talk to the sales manager? Things like that. Estimated duration, this can vary from client to client. You have your default that's in the template, but this can be different for each one of these lines here. So you can change the estimated duration for each client for, say, the bill pay or the tax return or whatever it is. Now we get to the renewal pattern. Are we doing this weekly, monthly, yearly, quarterly, whatever it is? Again, this can be different from client to client. If you're doing period close, for most clients it's monthly, but for some tiny clients, maybe you only do it quarterly. Days of the week, if it's a weekly task, what day of the week or days of the week? So maybe it's Tuesday and Thursday. Same date each month. In Aero, you have the ability to say, am I scheduling this every month on the first of the month? You can also say, what we're going to do is we want it to be scheduled for the first Tuesday of every month, the first Monday of every month, whatever it is. Those are your two choices. And that's what this field is asking for. Do you want it to be the first of every month or the 15th of every month, or do you want it just to be the first Tuesday of every month or first Monday of every month? Repeat every. For example, on a payroll task, maybe it's weekly, but it's only every other week. Or maybe it is every 6 months or every 4 months or something. So you can put in a number here. Otherwise, it's mostly 1. So every month would be 1. Every week would be 1. This start date, this is really important because all of the occurrences of a recurring task are going to replicate based on that start date. So if you're setting up your Aero account for the first time, you want to think about, when do we expect people to be trained and logged in and doing work in Aero? So choose a date that is going to say next month, starting on the first of the month, we're going to start scheduling things. So that's your start date. That's the date that things are going to start populating and recurring. If it's a monthly task, if you say that the start date is going to be August 1st, then all of the monthly recurring is going to be based on that date. So it'll be the 1st of every month or the 15th of every month. So pay attention to that start date. And then the end date. This is not a due date. The due date is taken care of by this field. We already talked about it on the template. The end date is going to be, how long should we schedule it for? You can schedule things in Aero out 10 years if you want to. Generally, people don't. They schedule it out 2 or 3 years or 5 years. But that's just how far out should we schedule this. In Aero, when we set up a recurring task, it's actually populated ahead of time with all of the occurrences all the way through the end of whenever you schedule it. So those occurrences of this recurring task are already there. They're not going to show up on your dashboard. They're not going to show up in reports unless you run a report out 10 years, but they're there and they will show up if it's time. So if you have a recurring reconcile bank account task or do expense reports task, the next iteration is going to show up whether or not the previous one is done. So if you're familiar with some of the more traditional tax workflow systems, oftentimes you have to actually roll something over at the end of the year, or the new return isn't created until the current return is done. That's not how Aero works. The iterations are created all at once, and then they show up when they're supposed to, but then that allows you to have 10 months of reconciliations open at the same time if needed. Or you can have 4 years of tax returns open at the same time. So just so it gives you an idea of how much back work there actually is for a client and how much a client is falling behind. Or if you're management, you can see how much a team member is falling behind. The last field on this spreadsheet is the days to the due date, and we talked about that at the beginning of this video. This is just going to help Aero figure out what the due date should be for a task. And it's a number, not a date, because something could be weekly or monthly or yearly, and we can't have a hard date for that. We need to have a number so Aero can calculate the hard date for the due date. If you have any questions about this spreadsheet, please feel free to email support or submit a support ticket, and we will help you as much as we can. Or if you want personal support, you can go to the help and schedule a support session and have somebody walk you through how to fill out that spreadsheet or how to translate the work that you already have into what we need in order to upload things to Aero.